Bro Show.
Have a day, super day, Bro Nation. Welcome to another episode of Bro Show, where we talk about everything and anything and try to make sense of what's happening. The Bro Show is being brought to us by Evian Natural Spring Water. Water the way nature intended. Jack in the Box. Breakfast all the way, breakfast all the time. Our show is also being brought to us by Godfather Shoes, uniquely handcrafted, made just for you. And the Medical City, where patients are partners for your next medical travel to the Philippines. Call 988-8627. Choose the Philippines. Choose the Medical City. My name is DJ Doods, your true Manila man, and I am with the Bro Force, starting with Seattle Supersonic Hall of Famer, the Professor, Matt Lester Mattel. Prof, good morning to you.
Good morning, DJ Doods. Iniisip ko, Seattle Supersonics, napaglaro na ba ako doon? Anyway, magandang umaga. Akala ko nananaginip ako, but half a day, happy Friday sa ating mga tagapakinig. Again, this is a very, very special Friday. Ito yung mga pagkakataon na masasabi ko that we're joined by one of the ultimate bros. Pero I'm sure I won't spoil it for everyone. I'll let DJ Doods do the introducing. DJ Doods, babalik ko na sa iyo.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. And to complete our Pinoy Bureau, New Jersey Nets Hall of Famer, the wide man, Tito Bojo Molina.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Half a day, Prof, and half a day, Dudes. At totoo yan. Yan ang bagong moniker ko ngayon. From the wired man, tawagin nyo na lang akong Tito Bojo. Tito Bojo dahil itong kasama natin ngayon, panahon pa ng pagers, magkakasama na kami. Kaya pag-usapan na natin to. So, let's go!
All right, game time ang feel ng episode natin today. Our guest for today knows the in and out of sports. ABS-CBN's North America News Bureau Chief, the ultimate sportsman, Mr. TJ Manotoc.
Hello. Hi guys, kamusta? Tama ba yung pagbati? Half a day?
Half a day.
Half a day. Hello to everybody, to all our kababayans in Guam, in the Philippines, in the US, all over the world. Pati na sa Mars, baka may sumapit dun sa Perseverance rover. Hello sa inyo na nanonood dyan, kahit saan man kayo.
All right. Sir TJ, you are the North America News Bureau Chief ng ABS-CBN. So you are in the US right now. Where in the USA in particular?
Obviously, I'm not in Guam, kaya ako lamig na lamig. I'm in San Francisco, California. We're still in the middle of patapos na ng winter season, so medyo malamig pa rin. And even though I'm indoors, it's still kind of cold in my house. And nobody else wants to turn on the heater. Ako yung pinakalamigin sa bahay. So even when I'm inside the house, I gotta put on a jacket or a sweater pag malamig. So yeah, it's nice and chilly here compared to you guys sa Guam na naka-t-shirt lang, I wish.
Pagtatangkap. Sir DJ, eto, malamig dyan, pero paiinitin natin ang ating discussion. Eto, we want to know who is Mr. TJ Manotoc a little deeper. We have this segment sa ating bro show. It's called Quickies with the Bros. Okay? We got some fast questions. I'm going to turn the microphone to our professor. Professor, sige, jump ball tayo.
Alright, DJ Doods. Maraming salamat. Sir TJ, mga bilisan lang. First thing that comes out of your head. Simulan ko na. Okay. First question. First celebrity crush.
My gosh. Jump ball tayo. Demi Moore, Jane Fonda, Vina Morales.
Yun!
Sabihin ko sana local, foreign. Sinagutan ni Sir TJ.
Sir TJ, let me say this. Wow! Sa choices. Wow sa mga crush. Wow.
Teach, parang hindi yata yun na naalala ko, pero sige, tanggapin na natin.
May kumukontra.
First eh. Sabi niya first eh.
First.
Okay. Hindi niya sinabi yung celebrity crush nung kaibigan mo nung nakilala mo si Bojo. So.
Yan.
Ang galing lumusot ng opensa, ha? Ang galing.
All right, so yeah, next question, Sir Teach. Bagay na palagi mong nawawala.
Susi.
Ayan, ako.
Susi,
Lalo na pag nagmamadali, susi. All right. Ito, I'm sure gustong malaman to ng tagapakinig natin, tagapanood. Favorite interview of all time? Pinaka-paborito mong taong na interview, most memorable?
Table. Kobe Bryant sa Lebron James.
Oh, wow.
Hard to pick the two. Pero syempre dahil in Oka sa the majesty of the athlete before you. So for sure, yung dalawang yun, favorite of all time.
Sorry, magka-follow-up question ako dun. So, and this is not part of the fast talk. How different is it, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, when you got to talk to them? Ano yung pagkakaiba nila when you...
It's hard to judge kasi depende rin sa oras ng araw, sa biyahe nila, sa pagod nila. Kasi minsan, and Bojo with all this, mga celebrity lalo na on tour, ratatat yung schedule eh. So that for example, there's an athlete that comes to the Philippines, kagagaling na yan, Taiwan, he flew in the morning, pinapasyesta lang yan saglit, tapos press con na, media interviews na kaagad. So pagod yan, so understandable, madalas minsan masungit, you'll never know who's in a good mood to chat and talk, pero siguro ng time LeBron was probably really gas as well kasi galing sa China, but he was good. Okay siya, good in the mood siya to talk about the Miami Heat at the time. Eric Spoelstra, yung ating kababayan na coach at the time. Si Kobe naman, iba kasi I've interviewed him several times. And iba-iba. I mean, he had longer trips in the Philippines. LeBron had like a 2-day trip. Kobe sometimes had a 5-day trip, whatever, or 1 week. Minsan kasi nagbabakasyon pa yan sa Boracay or Palawan. He obviously loved the Philippines so much. So, but generally they're very, very warm. I mean, I've rarely encountered an NBA player na sobrang sungit. Depende lang sa kung gaano ka game na game at engganyo at di magsagot. So, okay naman sila. I mean, it's super memorable and I'm glad na, we have the chance to keep those memories on video and in photos as well.
Great. And aside from being very nice, these are probably the two most intelligent athletes, no? I mean, and basketball players.
Super.
I'm sure.
Super. Yes. Agree.
All right. Eto, gustong malaman to ng mga tagahanga mo, Sir Tej. Anong nilalagay mo sa champurrado? Pusit? Dried pusit? O dilis?
First of all, I hardly eat champurrado.
Okay.
And if I do, plain. I don't
Plain,
hindi ako naglalagay ng pampaalat. Plain lang ako. Tinagin champurrado ng walang pampaalat. Pasensya na.
Okay yan, iwas sa cholesterol, di ba? Eto, meron kaming part dito, Sir Tej, na we call the GOAT part, the GOAT question.
Okay.
Since you're in broadcasting, who for you is the greatest sportscaster of all time?
Alam mo, this is not a popular opinion, pero one of my favorites, and who I think is one of the greatest, but he didn't, he's not in the NBA anymore now, Bill Walton. If you've ever heard Bill Walton cover NBA games before, ang gusto ko sa kanya, yung kanyang authenticity, yung natural, he's just himself. Minsan nagpapatawa, minsan nangaasar, tapos analyze siya. So I have to admit, yung aking style of sportscasting since the early 2000s of being a bibo kind of guy who I wasn't just focused on the analysis of the game, na X's and O's lang, and I valued the overall entertainment of the game. So makikipagbiro na ako with my partner about food, about travel, wherever we were at the Philippines at the time. So for me, Bill Walton was somebody I really enjoyed. And sometimes nakuhuli ko pa siya ngayon. Nagbo-broadcast pa siya ng mga college basketball games. So for me, Bill Walton, I mean, kakaiba. But Kevin Harlan, the anchor, really one of my favorites. And when he was still an analyst, Steve Kerr was one of my favorites too.
Oh, yeah. And I guess that's really one of the reasons why the Warriors got him, You're very, very smart. Steve Kerr.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Tej.
Thank you so much for the fast talk, Professor. Thank you so much, Sir Tej. Eto, Boj, although alam na alam mo, kilala mo si Sir TJ, pero for the sake of our listeners and our viewers, gustong-gusto pa nilang mas makilala. You do have a lot of questions. Go ahead, Boj.
Actually, may 2 questions ako pero unahin ko na to. Total, ako kilala ko si TJ. Pero yun nga I'll start with your last name is prominent. Your dad is popular as in the field of golf and basketball, and then your mom also. So how is your household, pare, in terms of you growing up on that very prominent name and family, pare?
You know what? It's interesting kasi syempre hindi ko mako-compare. For me, yun eh. Alam mo, hindi naman ako sumausaw sa ibang bahay. Although there were some times na when I spend time in my best friend's house, ang nako-compare ko lang nun pare was, ito pala yung feeling ng buo yung pamilya. Kasi my parents split up when I was 3 years old. So he had a dad and a mom. sister, and it was a complete family. It was so surreal to see a complete family. But putting in the celebrity aspect of it, it only dawned on me as a teenager. And my dad had to remind me, sabi niya, now that people are aware of who you are and whose son you are, you have to be a little bit more aware of what you're gonna do. What you might say. It just adds that bit of it. And then nung lumalaki na ako, napapansin yung mami ko na kilala siya bilang beauty queen na Miss International 1970. Siyempre, yung dad ko, he even came back to the Philippines in the 90s to coach for a bit again, even though his prime in coaching was in the late 70s and early 80s. Chris Pa, Billy Ray Bates, all those guys, no? Um, so growing up, it was interesting to understand that. Now, my parents were so popular during their prime, and people ask me a lot of questions, weird questions sometimes about their split up, their divorce, this and that. Kasi actually, parang nung panahon na yun, nung early 80s, their divorce was like the talk of the town in the Philippines. Their split up was like, kasi imagine mo, the parang imagine mo yung pinakasikat na coach and yung isa sa pinakasikat na beauty queens. Super celebrity status as a couple, and yet biglang naghiwalay. And I remember I would see my lola had clippings of newspapers during the time. As in, from the tabloids to the dailies, talagang it was talk of the town. So it's interesting to go through that when I was growing up and people were understanding, ay, anak ka ni Tommy, anak ka ni Aurora, ganyan. So okay lang. I mean, it is what it is. I can't say it was I'm sure it's different from others who don't have famous parents, but eventually, towards my latter years, there was more pressure, I guess, to live up to the standard or of some sort that people had expected you.
Yeah, follow up ko lang doon, share ko lang, no. TJ, I think I met you when you were 16 or 17 at that time. But believe it or not, si TJ, when we met doon sa grupo namin in Cinderella, wala kang makikitang shade of any, kumbaga yung popularities and everything. He is just one of the most, yung grupo naman namin, kasi lahat kami parang at the same level, normal. Kung mag-usap kami, actually ang pinakamatanda, pero kung mag-usap kami, talagang very 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 very, I would say down to earth yung
Lahat
conversation namin.
tayo,
Wala kami
correct. Down to earth talaga lahat. Walang may ere, kahit na unti-unti. Siyempre, modeling tayo, di ba? So yung unti, may mga sumisikat na and whatnot. Wala eh. When we were all together, wala lang. Kwentuhan, biruan, chibugan, gimikan, talking about kung sinong crush nino.
Yan.
For context, pero for context, hindi ata alam na lahat na kami ni Bojo, nagsimula kami, we met in this modeling group called Cinderella 17 June Compagnie. Nax, meron silang French name, di ba? Yung fashion brand na Cinderella. And I think every year, ba every 2 years, they refresh the batch. Every 2 years, they look for a fresh batch of new models, so to speak, no, ika nga, no? And we were so blessed to be part of that, because a lot of people, even us, launched our careers because of that, di ba?
Correct.
Sir Tej, following dun sa statement mo na sinabi mo kanina, you were told by your dad na you have to be a little cautious, di ba, sa mga actions mo because of course of the status of your family. Meron bang mga pagkakataon na you did something crazy na pasaway, nasabihan ka ng dad mo?
Hindi naman masyado. It was just more that yung awareness nga na medyo mas naka-microscope, I guess, no, yung mga pamilyang kilala na in showbiz or whatnot. So it's just that awareness of that, na kasi kung meron kang gawin na kakaiba, unlike somebody who doesn't have the microscope, mas ma-amplify yun, no?
Yes.
So thankfully, nakaiwas naman ako sa kalokohan. Okay naman ako.
Well behaved.
I came out very normal. So I was all right.
All right. Yes, Prof.
Yeah, I wanted to ask her, Teach, kasi you mentioned about the household that you grew in, your influences. You mentioned about you modeling, but parang how was it crafted for you, or how was it what you call this? How was it laid out for you? Yung career mo, was it at your choice? Who influenced you in becoming or going into newscasting and sportscasting? Kwentuhan mo naman yung ating mga tagapakinig na hindi
Sure.
familiar dun sa nangyari after nung modeling career mo.
So first off, the modeling thing, the reason why I guess I was open to it, I was interested because my sister was modeling already at the time. My older sister was 5 years older than me, si Mavis. She was a ramp model for the group of Pitoy Moreno, and together with Patricia Borromeo, who was one of her best friends, the late Patricia Borromeo, and they were doing a lot of ramp modeling shows in the Philippines, and they would even travel to different parts of Asia and even the Middle East, I think. So, bukas ako dun sa posibilidad na pagmamodel. I even had a cousin who was a commercial model. And I don't know about Bojo, how he was brought into the audition of Cinderella, but I was just walking in Greenbelt one day and somebody went up to me who's a scout, a talent scout, apparently a modeling scout, and said, "You're good looking, some model." I'm like, okay, let's give this a shot. And then they exchanged numbers and he told me to go to this audition, which turned out to be for Cinderella at the time, and doon na nagsimula. And then so that opened me up to that world of whatever you call it, entertainment, show business, whatever. So modeling was an opening to that. And in fact, I'm sure Bojo's told the story before to you guys that it was our guesting on ABS-CBN on their, I don't know, ASAP ba yun, Boj? I don't know kung anong Sunday show yun.
There's two shows on a Sunday that we guested. One is
Okay.
Game Na. And then
That's right.
in the evening, we guested in the Sharon Cuneta show. Doon tayo lahat nakita.
Yon, correct. So, dun tayo
Game na,
nakita.
game
And then,
na.
correct. Na-discover. Dun talaga na-discover si Bojo. And then, I'm not sure if Bernadette also was discovered around that time
Yes.
also. And then, so dun nagsimula. And then, for me naman, I went, after my modeling days, I continued playing basketball as a varsity player sa Lasal. And then, got into coaching eventually with my friend Luigi Trillo, who's still a coach now. He was one time a PBA head coach as well and a champion coach. But he's one of my good friends at that time. He brought me into coaching. I helped him out in a school called Southridge. And then I eventually coached on my own in the South Green Hills. And then I just really loved coaching so much that and this is funny because it had nothing to do with my dad. I just loved the game. I enjoyed coaching. I never thought I would tell myself I want to follow my dad's footsteps in coaching. It wasn't that way at all. And then I love coaching so much that I wanted to continue that, but it wasn't paying enough. I was only earning 4,000 pesos a month gross. So ang net pa nun is 3,600. Okay? So I'm like, and I wanted to be independent at the time. I was a fresh grad from college. So sabi ko, hindi ako mabubuhay dito. So nagtanong-tanong ako. I looked around the landscape, what else I could do na part-time that would still allow me to coach, which would require me to be in Lasal from like 3 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. So which is rare to find another part-time job like that, no? And then I saw that I had some friends and even a relative who was into sportscasting. At the time, good friend of mine, Jude Turquato, was and even Luigi already were sportscasters for the PBL, and my cousin Vanessa Mayuga was a sportscaster also for PBL for Vintage. Sila Luigi's wife then, Ria Trillo, was a courtside reporter for the NBA. If you remember the NBA, Metropolitan Basketball Association.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I applied with the help of them, Ria and then Vanessa. They helped me give my resume. I applied. And the funny thing is that when I applied to Vintage for the PBL, they were undergoing a merger with Viva. Viva Vintage became the new broadcast partner of the PBA and the PBL at the time. So medyo magulo sila noon. So hindi raw napansin yung aking application. Funny enough. And then I got the job first with the MBA, with ABS-CBN Sports, and like related to Bojo's question kanina, I gotta admit that I got my foot in the door because they knew my dad. Anak ni Tommy Manotoc, he's a basketball household name. It helps with the audience. So I was a courtside reporter first for the NBA. I was absolutely horrible, honestly. I couldn't, speak clearly. I was always nervous on cam. For whatever it's worth, Destiny had it. After 3 or 4 games that I did in the NBA, I got a call from the late Ronnie Nathaniels, who was then heading Viva Vintage Sports, and he says, why did you call me? I'm a friend of your dad's. You should have applied straight to me. Iho. Then nagmumura pa siya. That's how Ronnie is. And then So but basically what happened was this. It was really destiny that I had that opportunity because year 2000, Red Bull was a new team in the PBA. If you all remember Red Bull. And their coach then was Yang Yao. And
Mhm.
their assistant team manager was Andy Howe. Both of whom were full-time analysts of vintage sports before Red Bull came in. So may dalawang opening ng analysts sa PBA broadcast team, which is extremely rare. Those guys would live on forever, and you'd probably until somebody dies. That's when you can get in or someone retires. So that opening was so rare. And the unique thing about it was, si Boss Vic De Rosario of Viva told Ronnie, gusto ko maiba, gusto ko kuha ka ng bata, gusto ko gwapo. So,
Yun!
yun ang mandate niya. Okay? So, kami ni Paolo Trillo, who was Luigi's younger brother, who also had basketball pedigree because his dad was, Waki Trillo, the longtime team manager of Alaska. We got very lucky that our parents were famous in basketball and we got our foot in the door. And we were also varsity players. So, it was a rare mix, no, na merong varsity player na may alam sa basketball at may pangalan. So, pasok kami pareho. But, I gotta say, for those who might say that you just get your job because of that, yeah, you get your foot in the door, but you won't last 20 years in the industry if you don't work hard at it and don't prove
Right.
that you're deserving to be there, which is what happened in our case for me and Paolo at the time. We were very fortunate. We saw other people who came in new, they tried in some other young guys who didn't survive, because they didn't have, the same work ethic or the talent as
Mhm.
well. So we were very blessed and very lucky. So doon nagsimula ako, guys. Doon nagsimula ako sa TV talaga. And when I was in the PBA already for about a year, sabi ko, I was enjoying this TV thing. They made me do some hosting on the side, hosting some events, hosting some, halftime shows, and even the All-Star game, I think. And I said to myself, I think I want to do more than just sportscasting. And ayoko makahon na sportscaster lang forever. Because there's some guys who were there for many years and then parang kung gusto mo nilang mag-iba ng track, ang hirap na. Kasi nakahon ka na just a sportscaster. And I didn't want that to happen to me. So I had some friends who helped me out, and one guy who I owe a lot to, Ambet Nabus at the time, got me to host an event with Nike. In fact, it was my first outside of the PBA gig. I hosted a 3-on-3 tournament they had. It was a mall show, and I really enjoyed that. And then that opened the doors for me. And then, so what got me into mainstream TV out of the PBA and into Channel 7, which was my next stop, was a really funny story. Because I got one day, I was in the PBA for about 2.5 years. I got a phone call from a random number, hindi ko alam. Tapos sabi ng tumatawag, hello, my name is Edward Dantes. I'm a producer from Unang Hirit and GMA 7 News. And, we're looking for a new young male host because we just lost Ryan Agoncillo. He got pirated to ABS-CBN. So we're looking for a new young male host. And I was like, oh my God, this is my moment. Because it was my dream to get into some kind of mainstream hosting. And then, I kid you not, I don't think Bojo even knows the story yet. Sabi ni Ed Dantes na doon. Yeah. So anyway, so we're looking for a new young host. And we just wanted to call you and ask you, can we have the number of Borgie? Borgie Manotoc, my half-brother. Okay? It was a call to look for Borgie, not to me. Excited na ako. Hindi pala ako hanap nila, nakakinis. So anyway, but here's the thing. And I was very frank and honest with them. I'm like, si Borgie, well, you know what? Borgie's only 15, 16 years old. He goes to high school in ISM and he barely speaks Tagalog. So I really don't think he can do Unang Hirit, which is a morning show, weekdays, plus Tagalog ba? Sabi niya, ganun ba? And then, here I am, light bulb over my head, pakapal mo ka, seize the day. Sabi ko, pero Sir Ed, pwede po ba ako mag-audition? I kid you not. There was like silence. Silence on the phone for like 30 seconds. Siguro ginano niya, kapal na mukha ng itoserong sportscaster na mag-audition para sa Unang Hirit. Anyway, he said, sige, come in next week. Audition. Okay, so fine. So came in the week after. They made me read some lines from a teleprompter, whatever. They made me do a fake interview with the staffer just to pretend I'm intriguing somebody. And they go, you know what? Sige, okay, we'll bring you onto the show for a 1 week guesting. Parang doon nila gusto talaga masubukan yung chemistry kasi yung mga morning show, maraming host, di ba? So kailangan matimpla mo yung hindi lang yung husay ng host, pero yung chemistry niya with the other hosts. So 1 week audition yun. Sabi ko, sige. So next week is Holy Week. Siguro after na lang. Okay, sige. So, sige. Hintay ako ng tawag. Lumipas ang Holy Week, walang tawag, walang text. Lumipas sa Panglinggo, walang tawag, walang text. So parang I treated it like a Hollywood thing. Don't call us, we'll call you, di ba? So hindi ako nang ulit. Maya-maya may nakita akong mga vlog sa TV. Abangan ng bagong mukha ng unang hirit, teaser. So may mga close-up. May close-up ng pisngi, close-up ng braso, balikat, tapos may close-up ng kilay. Sabi ko, ang kapal lang kilay, hindi ko kilay yan. Kasi guys, tignan mo, kalahati ng kilay na bigay sa akin ni Lord eh. Actually, nung pumila ako sa heaven ng kilay, isa na naman tira. Sabi niya, hati natin sa dalawa.
Hati na lang.
Oo, dito lang. Pare, ang kapal lang kilay na nasa t-shirt na sabi ko, sino to? Hindi ako yan. Lo and behold, the new face of unang hirit was Hans Montenegro. This is in 2002. Okay? Or 2001, yeah. So I was like, okay, they got their guy. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I didn't get devastated though. I told myself, not my time, not my moment. Pero I still believe that that's somewhere I'm gonna go in the mainstream hosting. In fact, ginawa ko siyang affirmation. Sinunod ko sa aking cellphone. Nalala niyo yung Nokia dati, merong welcome note. Pag binuksan nyo, welcome or hello Nokia. A few people know you can edit that. So I changed that welcome note. I changed the welcome note to I am a host of Unang Hirit. So every day I wake up to turning on my phone with my affirmation. I kid you not, with the magic of destiny and whatever you may call it. After 1 year, they called me again. And this time they were not looking for Borgie. They were looking for me because I further made my name in the sportscasting world. And they said, we want to add a sports segment host. And we think you're the perfect fit. So, wala nang audition. They knew my capabilities already. I've been in the PBA sportscasting for a couple of years at a time already. So, pasok ako as a sports segment host. And then they liked my enthusiasm and Bibo. So they even invited me to join the cast live on the set twice a week to start me out. And then the Love Aniver thing happened. Doon kami nag-click. Kasi I don't know if you remember Love Aniver.
Yes!
Yung traffic reporter on the street. Nung unang pinakilala pa lang ako live on the show, si Love, agad-agad sumigaw, ay! Papa ko na yan! Walang kaagaw sa akin! Papa ko na yan! Papa TJ, you're mine! So doon nagbunga kagad yung Love Aniver TJ Manotoc Love.
I remember that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because of her, because she owned me. She
The
claimed me
bumper
right
to bumper
away.
love story,
Oo,
love team.
so, and then, I mean, lo and behold, nung sinusubukan nila kami mag-live on remote in the streets together, we clicked. Our chemistry really clicked. No? So ako yung palengke king, siya yung traffic queen. So doon nila ako, maliban sa sports lang, pinagla-live ako everyday sa mga palengke. Ako nagbabantay ng presyo ng palengke. And I would find a palengke queen every day na, not necessarily beauty queen, pero yung bibo magbenta, we would award them with gifts and that. So then imagine that, I was a palengke king in the morning, unang hirit, and I was still a sportscaster for the PB at night. Nakakatawa extremes ng aking career, but it is what it is. So it molded that varying, that holistic approach of the things I could do. So, ayun, and I enjoyed that run with GMA and the PBA lasted about 2004. And then ABS-CBN called. And they said they were really looking for somebody like me. Na parang sabi sa akin ng ABS-CBN executives at the time, their producers would always say, we want somebody like that guy, like TJ Manotoc, na young host, a Bibo, can do a lot of things, can host lifestyle, can host showbiz, can host sports and this and that. So I had a good offer that, just really the opportunity to do more. Because diba, Bonj, ABS had many more platforms. GMA at the time was just GMA. Wala pa silang sports, wala pa silang GMA International or whatever, or GMA News, platform. Wala na yung GMA News TV. So it was a no-brainer. So lipat ako kay ABS-CBN and in 2004 and I've been a kapamilya ever since. So doon nagsimula yan, guys. So yun yung patalon-talon na parang it wasn't a straight line, medyo zigzag, may konting kapal na mukha, but I think everything happens for a reason and the blessings were there. So yun.
Sir TJ, your story is so rich, so inspirational, so motivational, and funny as well. Ang dami. Okay, let's digest that. Eto, napakaganda ng mga shinare sa atin ni Sir TJ. You were a coach. How were you as a coach sa basketball? Let's start with that.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. Thank you. And I get to look back at it. I was actually a horrible disciplinarian.
Okay.
Which made my players love me so much. Kasi ang bait-bait ko. Hindi ako yung striktong coach na, alam mo yun? So I was a player's coach, but I was a good motivator and they loved me for that. Even my my peers who coached other, kasi in LaSalle, maraming team. May team A, team B, aspirants, midgets, whatever, no? And I was coaching the pastoral at the time and then eventually team B. And the other coaches sometimes would invite me to their pregame to give the inspirational talk pregame. Because that was, I mean, modesty aside, that was my strength, to give a motivational boost to the players and all this and that. And then as well with ako, I like to believe I was good with making a play, especially offense. Na I was very creative in that sense. So yeah, my players love me to this day. If you encounter a player of mine, if you ask him how was Coach TJ, they'll say, "Oh, you're one of my favorites." Kasi hindi ko sila masyadong dinidisiplina, ang bait-bait ko, and we always had a good time. So yeah, but it was so fun. I miss coaching so much, and the only thing that pulled me away from coaching was the schedule of my PB commitments, because by 2004 I got so busy, I had to let go. So, but yeah, imagine from 2002 to 2004, sabay-sabay yan. Palengke King in the morning, PBA sportscasting at night, tapos coach pa ng Lasal Green Hills. Yun yung tatlo kong racket at the time na sinabay-sabay.
Walang pagod. Sir Tej, you mentioned syempre, and then as well as Bojo Molina, of course, model. Ito yung question. Meron ba kayong model move? May model move ba kayo? Zoolander, Magnus?
Parang Magnum,
ba?
Magnum move,
rather. Yeah, may ganun ba ang TJ at Bojo?
May signature look.
Daming kwento yan.
You know what? The funniest thing is, now that you ask me that, I remember a cousin of mine caught me and she goes, alam mo, papansin ko yung smile mo, praktisado. Praktisado ka, no? Like, well, you have to do it, diba? You have to look in the mirror, know your look, know your angle, know your smile, and you're able to deliver it as naturally as you can, diba? Na hindi pilit. And yeah, I mean, and Bojo knows this. One of the guys we really love so much that helped us blossom as models and whatever you call it, entertainers, June De Leon, the photographer.
Yes, I was about to say that.
I mean, wow, he brought the best out of us. We loved him so much. And I've still got to work with him, a couple of times after our Cinderella days as well. And he's just amazing how he doesn't just work the talent. He just, I don't know, may magic sa diba, Bojo, he'll bring the best out of you. And he'll just make you feel at so much ease.
He will actually put you in a spot that you've been here for about 2 to 3 years, yan pa rin ang kaya, yan pa rin ang alam mo. You need to, when you see him, kasi meron kang session ng, share ko lang may session ka, for example, 1996, no? Meron ka 95, or tapos babalik ka after 3 months kasi may pictorial ka uli eh. And then pagbalik mo, dapat there's something different or there's something that you could offer him more. Kung pareho din, he will shoot you down. And, but at the same time, he will teach
in a nice
you
way.
Okay, correct.
Sir Tej, Boj, eto at the count of 3, pwede bang ibigay nyo sa amin yung Magnum? Okay? yung Magnum
all
nyo,
our
okay?
viewers.
Wala niyan!
Sabay kayo dapat, So, parang parang Zoolander and Hansel, right? Hansel.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
No.
At the count of 3, okay?
Yeah, game.
Okay. 3,
Magtatago mo
2.
dito.
Magtatago mo na kami.
Ayan.
Okay.
Okay. Begin. 3, 2, 1. Woo!
Ayun!
Panalo. Naramdaman namin yung wave. Yung energy, naramdaman namin. I love it. Eto, Sir Tej, and of course, you are very well known pagdating sa newscasting. Here's another question. Meron ka bang favorite expression as a sports newscaster? Especially when you were in a PBL, PBA, meron ka, or NBA. We know that you have called NBA games.
I think the most iconic that people remember me for is there was this one final series of the UAP where UST was, my goodness, I can't believe I forgot who they were playing against. Bakit sa Ateneo? Where Kevin Ferrer had a historic 27-point game. He had like 7 3-pointers in the second half. And I was anchor at the time kasi minsan analyst, minsan anchor. And the game was in the finals eh. So it was pagka-finals kasi the ABS-CBN Sports puts it on channel 2. Hindi lang sila sa Studio 23. And so gusto nila Tagalog. So since English kami sa 23, kapag nagtatagalog, and so they make me anchor it. So I was anchor at the time. And although most Tagalog, we're not really Tagalog. And nung pumuputok na talaga siya, nagwawala na ako, and I'll give you the YouTube link. It's still live on YouTube. I really lost my mind. I was really screaming, "You've got to be kidding me!" Kasi yung mga bato-bato niya, parang puro chamba na lang halos eh. Parang hindi ka makapaniwala na he hit like 7 straight 3-pointers. So as an anchor, yung tagline na, "You've got to be kidding me," it kind of stuck with me, and people have, I mean, it's hardly used because you only use it in a crazy moment, and in a crazy stretch, let's put it that way. But yun, so if there's one thing that I think is unique to me that very few others had that moment, I guess it's the "You've got to be kidding me." So yun.
All right. We're going to borrow that. The Bro Show. You gotta be kidding
You got to
us.
be kidding me.
There you go.
I remember that. I remember that
Yes.
moment. I mean, ako, tumasyon ako, naalala ko yung moment
You
na yun.
do.
Diba?
There you go, Prof.
He was like going crazy.
Diba?
And I remember you saying
Grabe
that
yun.
exactly.
Mga ano yata eh, parang if not 6 years ago, 7 years ago, at
Yeah.
syempre nag-trending siya sa Twitter. Nag-trending din ako dahil dun. Kasi they were like, "TJ Manotoc has lost his mind. You've got to be kidding me."
I think this was during the Tang brothers, no? Rain and was it Lazal? Lazal that they were
I'm
against?
not sure. Yes,
Yeah.
and now I think it was Lasal nga kalaban.
Lasal,
niya.
yeah.
So that's right.
Sarap ng kwento natin kay Sir TJ. Bojo, go ahead. Boj.
Okay, si TJ, ang hirap. Ako pinipigilan kong magkwento kasi ang dami naming kwento ng TJ. We started from stories and everything. Pero TJ, one thing I noticed, pare, is you made your own take on everything that you're doing. You have your own signature. But of course, before you got into that, especially in broadcasting, we want to know who was your inspiration, your mentor, you patterned yourself from in terms of being the newscaster that you are right now.
Well, for news, I don't think I had anybody that I really patterned myself for news. In fact, for everything I do, kasi I wore so many hats on TV. Newscaster, sportscaster, TV reporter. I was a lifestyle TV host, diba? So I've worn many hats, and if you're in front of the camera, you know that they're different animals, they're different beasts altogether, no. But I would just pick up things here and there from others, no, from other talents, other hosts, and then it would just merge as one. Wala akong tinignan na iisa lang talaga. Although in sportscasting, I would like to say that those who really helped me and mentored me, and helped me out definitely were Ronnie Nathaniels and Noli Yala. During those times, so si Com Noli became one of my best friends as well during those days na we were in the PBA panel. And but for TV hosting, believe it or not, it was Martin Rivera and Edu Manzano. I really looked up to their natural style of delivery when they had their late night talk shows, when they were just super spontaneous, super duper spontaneous. And I'll never forget what si Martin would even talk to his floor director and his producer during the show, which is actually a no-no. You're just supposed to talk to your guest, say your spiel, guest, say your spiel. Parang it's a taboo in show business or in TV world to speak to a staffer. But he would look away, joke with them. Parang talaga, but I enjoyed it. I don't know if everybody did, but I enjoyed that style of him being so natural and vivo. And so I think I took that, not necessarily copied it, but I gave myself that green light and go signal to be natural too. So when I was doing a morning show on the ABS-CBN news channel, ANC, which you it's interesting because you wear two hats in the same show. You're a newscaster and then you do interviews as well. Kasi it's a 3-hour show eh. So meron kang lifestyle interview. Minsan you're interviewing celebrities, minsan you're interviewing beauty queens, and then you're interviewing business leaders, then a politician. So varied talaga, no? So but I would again bring out the Martin and Edu influence in me and just be a natural interviewer. This might be a bad thing, but I rarely prepared. I rarely prepared and wrote down my notes and questions because I just wanted it to be a conversation. I'm like, I don't know you very well, neither does my audience. That's why you're here. Let's get to know you. And I'll ask you a question like, I meet you at a party. Diba? I want to get to know you. Yun yung MO ko nun eh. Na don't tell me too much about this person, even though the production will give me, so much, printouts of research about this guest. I'm like, just give me a little bit and then let me just ask it like I get to know this person. So that was my style and my my choice of how I would do interview. It may be frowned upon by industry veterans and executives, but it is what it is, and it click. No, I would hear this feedback from a lot of people and from friends of my mom. Your parents are your worst critics and best fans, and she would always say, "Uy, my friends are saying they like you on TV because you're so natural." And
Mm.
you just come off very natural. It's
Mhm.
not contrived, hindi pilit,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I enjoy. It's just what it is, and I enjoyed it. And I guess a key there would be is to let go of the nervousness. Kasi di ba, Bodge, when you're in front of a camera, alam mga live show, it's natural to be nervous, di ba? Pero yung kaba ko siguro for a while lang, and then after a while, you're in your element. You enjoy it. You
Mhm.
enjoy it.
Sir Tej, we are enjoying talking to you. Sobra, sobra. And you are right kasi as viewers, kami as viewers, yung ibang mga sportscasters, minsan hindi ganun kaganda yung registry kapag newscasting naman or kapag
Mhm.
lifestyle host naman or kapag any other, for example, interviews. Minsan hindi
Mhm.
masyadong nagbe-blend yung personalities nila. But you, I mean, using your own word, you really mold it so well. Ang ganda. Kasi kahit
Thank you.
saan ka ilagay, pasok di ba? Bodge
Salamat, salamat.
and Prof,
Yeah, actually, I wanted to
yes.
ask si Sir Teach about this because you talked about really fun moments memorable moments. I'm interested because right now you are the news bureau chief of ABS-CBN there. You've had your stamp in broadcasting. What was the most difficult for you? What was the most difficult story that you had to cover in your career?
Difficult in the sense of
Na
physically difficult,
mabigat,
grueling,
yeah,
or difficult in terms of the story itself, mabigat siya?
the story na mabigat siya. What for you? And
Uh, you know what? I mean, there are challenging ones, but I don't. Mm, the difficult ones are those yung minsan mahaba yung interview, ang hirap i-edit, ang hirap piliin yung best sound bites,
Mhm.
masakit sa
Yeah.
ulo. That's difficult. Pero I never really saw anything difficult in terms of because of the 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 importance of the story or the difficulty of the story itself. There were some really challenging ones. Like
Mhm.
I'll never forget. I had to do a story on the suicide of a former boss. Sorry, former boss's daughter. And and this is another part-time job I had during those years in 2000 2002. I was actually an editor of a magazine called Forward FWD, actually, under the Mega Magazines group. And so I worked with the Mega Magazines group part-time. I'd come in like twice a week to do editorial meetings. I'd write, a story tour every month. So it wasn't a full-time thing. But my bosses then were Sari Yap and Lorraine Belmonte. They were the heads of that. Lorraine unfortunately lost her daughter to suicide, I think, 8, 10 years ago. Okay. Helena was her name, and she was a young model, in fact. And because I had two things, because I had the connection to the family, and within ABS, they knew I had my advocacy for mental health because they knew my history of that I had depression and anxiety as a teenager, which I came out to the story as well. It's a whole other longer conversation. But it was tricky because I had to reach out to Sari and I said, Sari, um, would you mind that we do, would you like to share the story of what happened to Helena and what the family is going through? And so I did that interview, and it's interesting that they trusted me, that I could do it compassionately and not sensationalize it, and there was a purpose of telling that story because usually my purpose when I tell a story, and I've done a lot of these, unfortunately, that my purpose is to spread awareness and for other parents to be aware what are the telltale signs. I mean, and I've met and interviewed as well Shamaine Buencamino, the actress who lost her daughter to suicide as well. And she, for Shamaine and Noni, who became friends of mine, they were totally blindsided by their daughter's suicide. They didn't even know she was going through any sign of depression whatsoever. So, so yeah, that was one of the, if you say, difficult ones. Kasi
Mhm.
tricky. Kapag pag sablay yung, if you push too hard, you could get accused of being sensationalizing it lang and just for prime time use or whatever it is. No, but for me as a journalist, I always felt that as much as possible, my story had a purpose. Hindi lang yung information na lang. And eventually there were times that I even focused on stories of heroism. And I was lucky that I got to break the story of if you remember Efren Peña Florida, the CNN hero, the push
Hero.
marathon teacher. And he's
Mhm.
somebody I met his those he mentored many years ago when an award show that I hosted, and they reached out to me and they said, Kuya TJ, si Kuya Efren was nominated for CNN Hero of the Year, ganyan. So I broke that story, followed it through, and then eventually we even pushed for that made me push for a segment at TV Patrol on Everyday Heroes, which was a spin-off from our award show that we do every 2 years, Bayaning Filipino Awards, if you've ever heard of that, the Henny Lopez
Yeah.
Yes.
Bayaning Filipino Awards. And I was telling our Maria Ressa at the time, our boss, sayang, nahihinayang ako na yung kwento ng mga bayani natin. Hanggang dun lang, hanggang once every weird lang cycle nun, 18 months yung cycle niya. Parang every 2 years lang siya napapapansin sa award show, and that's it. Sabi ko, sana we have a regular segment that could uplift, their stories and talk about them. So I convinced my boss, and it became a regular segment on TV Patrol at the time. I became the segment host for that together with Karen Davila and Julius Babo at the time. And so yeah, that's just a little bit of me as a journalist, how as much as possible, I would like to send a message and something that they can pick up as an inspiration, even if it's like interviewing LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. Hindi ko siya iiwan lang na tell me about your how do you see the Filipino fans? Hi, hello, thank you. Alam mo yung wala lang yun. That's just the basic that you would expect diba, for a foreign celebrity coming to the Philippines. Pero ako gusto ko, tell me about your work ethic. Tell me about what inspires you. Tell me what motivates you. Because I wanted to share that to the viewers and leave them with that. Na, oh wow, there's more to this athlete than just this.
Mm-hmm. Sir Teach, we are learning about here, lalo na sa mga nasa media. You mentioned that not sensationalizing the story, not objectifying the the subject of the story, and that is really important. Hindi lang para pagkaguluhan, not just to the what, where, when, who. Hindi. Dapat may mapulot yung mga makakapanood, yung mga makakarinig. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Bodge?
Thank you.
Well, TJ, the stories talagang bumabalik lang sa akin. Pero one thing na alam ko na siguro matatandaan mo, yung tagline na because we can. This is our launching line, because we can. The stories is yung mga storya mo is because you're doing it and you can do it. Pero balik tayo dun sa sa tanong natin kanina, no. If you are not a newscaster right now, I know you mentioned about coaching, I know dumaan tayo sa modeling. Kung hindi doon, ano sa tingin mo yung career mo ngayon if you never touch those three things? Ano kaya sa tingin mo ang career mo ngayon? What if?
You know what? If you asked me that 5 years ago, I would probably say I would be in the marketing field, marketing advertising. That was actually my course in college. I enjoyed it, still enjoy it. I'm a fan of it. I geek out and just observing the trends of marketing, social media marketing, advertising. So I geek out with those things. In fact, if you see my Twitter feed, aside from following like politicians, political news, sports, and whatever, I follow marketers, and I want to see the trends in marketing and advertising, and it fascinates me. So I would have been that 5 years ago. My answer to you now, though, I would probably love be a farmer or a barista, own a cafe, or both. And that's actually how I want to retire. I want to retire somewhere in the Philippines, have a little farm with a little cafe restaurant, and be the barista. And I guess I've had my fun of city life, and I want to slow down eventually, and really enjoy nature. And I love coffee, and I want to share that love of coffee with others. And I enjoy, like right here, I have a suking coffee shop nearby. That the baristas and the owners just are so kind that you love it when they're friends with you and they know you. Okay, so hindi siya Starbucks or Pete's Coffee. It's just one-off coffee shop called Hedge. And paglapit mo pa lang, you don't even, yung tipong you don't even have to give your order. Yung alam na nila, hey, TJ, what's up, man? I know your order, extra hot cappuccino, and the croissant. Yes, sir. So it brings you, as a customer, brings you so much joy. So I would love to be that eventually, that kind of a cafe owner or barista who would provide you with a coffee, but also provide you with a smile that you carry on for the rest of your morning at least. When you had a nice short conversation with your barista, they give you a wonderful coffee and a smile. You hardly get a smile from people you buy stuff from nowadays. But it's rare. But I think in the service industry, the baristas do that the best, as opposed to like you drive through a fast food or whatever else. No? So I think that's really cool.
Well, Dudes,
Yes, Bosh.
Dudes, i-promote ko lang, TJ will be perfect here on Guam. The way he's
Mhm.
describing everything laid back,
Mm.
malapit sa Pilipinas, 3 hours away, you could fly in and out. US territory naman. So this is something that I think you could consider in going to. And believe me,
Who
meron ka
knows?
mga bros na dito.
Who
Yes.
knows? Who
Mm.
knows? The doors
Closer
open.
to nature, di ba? But
Oh,
it
di
is
ba?
it's a high calling di ba? To be one, yung instinct natin na to be connected with nature, that's really a
Yeah.
high calling. We understand you, Sir
Agree.
TJ. But now,
Agree.
going doon sa gusto mo maging barista, dapat ngayon pala nagko-conceptualize na tayo ng mga drinks
Oo.
Ng mga,
Ah,
di ba? Oo. Kung
Start
ano
with the
yung mga
name. Ano ba yung name?
magiging pangalan. Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Di ba? May naisip ka na ba, Sir TJ? May
Wala pa.
papangalan mo sa mga
Actually,
kape
that's a
mo?
good question, dudes. Good question, dudes. Wala pa. Man, now that you put me in the spot, maybe the Mang Tomas special. I don't know.
Ah,
are you crazy coffee?
Yeah. You got a
you
nickname.
gotta be
Are you
crazy
crazy
coffee.
coffee?
Yeah.
Crazy good.
Crazy good
Pwede,
coffee.
pwede,
Are you
pwede.
crazy?
Specialty of the house.
Pwede.
Yes, Professor, go ahead.
Sir TJ actually has really a great sort of a retirement plan. Pero I'm gonna sort of bring us back to some of the things that are happening. Of course, Sir TJ is a journalist. Itong recent challenges that we had with COVID, and then of course the shutdown of ABS-CBN. We're just interested to know, no, as someone who's been in the news, how has it been adjusting to some of these big events na nangyari the past year?
You know what? Surprisingly, I managed okay. I mean, it's sad that to say that maybe we in the news have been desensitized with so much catastrophe, especially if you were a broadcaster in the Philippines. I mean, and with ANC, we had to do a lot of these what you call rolling coverages, yung tuloy-tuloy na coverage, for 3 hours, 4 hours kapag may bagyo. So with the Ondoy, with the Yolanda, we've seen it all, and so I've seen death and destruction and all that, and I guess it strengthened me as a journalist already to somehow maybe be ready for this, diba? What happened here today, in this day and age. But going to your question, Prof, specifically about the how those two catastrophes, so to speak, no, came at the same time in my life, the pandemic plus the ABS-CBN shutdown. I think I'm blessed that it came at a time in my life now that I'm a little bit more mature and grounded. Let's put it that way. To be honest, I didn't panic in terms of lalo na yung sa ABS-CBN. I just lived it day by day and was grateful for whatever I still had. I mean, I had friends who lost jobs, lost their careers. It was devastating. I did cry. We all cried together, but it didn't devastate me, and I don't know. It just didn't. I kept my resolve in terms of being focused on what I have to do here. I didn't know, I didn't know if I was going to keep my job or not. Honestly speaking, unfortunately, I still have my job in particular. But if I were to lose it, I was prepared, but not prepared in a scared way. And I think one thing that really prepared me for that was I got into meditating more regularly this year. Well, sorry, last year, 2020. And I think my practice of meditation and being grateful made me realize it's the basics in life that we need the most and that we're so grateful for. Our health, being in family, being in nature. That's why I would really love to retire in nature. And that's it. I mean, if and I kept telling my wife and friends and family that, what, if I lose my job, if I go, poorer, I don't think I'll ever go poor and hungry because I think I have the physical capabilities to do any job, whether it be a basic job, at least to provide food for my family. I can do that. So if that has to be the case, I'm ready for it. I mean, if destiny has that, it's a change in lifestyle. It's a change in lifestyle. So it's not something I would have feared. Alam mo yun? Parang kung yun yung tadhana ng Panginoon sa akin at the time, then it is what it is, di ba? So I'm a little comfortable now, let's put it that way, but I don't think it will last forever, and I don't need it. It's a bonus, but I know what my needs are, which is my health, my family, and And as long as I get to go out, breathe fresh air, and see the sun, see the beaches and whatnot, and the mountains, and take a bike ride, I'm good, man. Okay na ako. Super okay na ako. So yeah,
Wow.
I guess because of that, knowing that that's what my needs are, yung worry ko na maybe losing my wants in terms of the work, the pandemic, this and that, there was no worry. So that's just me. That's my mindset now and where I am today.
Really? 3 letters. Wow. That is the wisdom of a true wise man. Grabe. Sir Teach, ang ganda nun.
And you guys are doing a wonderful job too with a show like this kasi hindi lang kayo pang entertainment, may mensahe, may meaning, 'di ba? And I'm glad you're doing it. We need more content like this, 'di ba? Ang daming yung mundo natin, I'm sure you have, the kids out there, yung mundo nila ngayon napupuno ng TikTok kung ano nung kalokohan minsan. So at least merong content na medyo may isa-isay, 'di ba? Na merong pupulot na makabuluhan, 'di ba? Put it that way. So ako rin actually, I mean, eventually, I've been really toying with the idea of getting into a podcast, and I think I really will this year. I'm gonna get some help to do it kasi ang hirap pala mag-isa. At least kayo, you're one team. There's 3 of you, and there's more behind it, diba? So I'll find a way. But yeah, keep it up, guys. Salamat.
All right. Now, I just wanted to thank you, Sir Teach, for the inspiring message. I thought that we were going to talk about sports and news, but we talked about far more than that.
Oh, yeah. Deeper. Yeah.
And really, the insight is priceless. So thank you, and we look forward to that podcast of yours.
Yes.
Kami ang unang magiging subscribers niyan, for sure.
Yes. Sir Teach,
Salamat,
going back
salamat.
to sports, sabi nga ni Professor,
Go.
going back to sports naman, okay, yeah. Who is the best team of Lebron James? We all know that you are a super big Lebron James fan, okay? Among the 3, okay. Yung Miami Heat, nag-champion si Lebron James. Cleveland Cavaliers, nag-champion si Lebron James. Or the LA Lakers 2020, champion pa rin si Lebron James. Sino yung magiging ultimate champion among those 3 teams?
Easy answer because it's admittedly biased because of our kababayan Eric Spoelstra. I think his best team was the second year with the Miami Heat. They were so good already and they figured it out. So, and with Ray Allen at that, and then I was so blessed to be there, for those years, for those 4 years in Miami. I was there covering the finals, and I'll never forget that moment of the Ray Allen 3-pointer in the corner. As in, kami ni Boom, yung partner ko, nakita namin, nag-aalisan yung mga tao eh. Ang dami nag-aalisan eh. Parang, wala, they were down 5 with 30 seconds to go or something like that. And people are just leaving. And then the ropes were being brought out, yung kadena, di ba? Para ano yung sidelines. And they still won that game, forced it to overtime, and then they won Game 7 after that. So, grabe. So for me, that's one of the best, if not the best teams of LeBron. So, and I credit, few people will credit him, but I credit a lot to Eric Spoelstra. Kahit sabihin mong he had the big 3 of Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and he had Ray Allen and all those guys. You still need a great coach to put it all together.
Correct.
And one, I'll drop you a nugget of wisdom that I heard from Spoelstra that I'll never forget, that I carried me to this day. I asked him in an interview, how do you manage these egos? How do you manage these superstars? How do you do it? It's rare that a coach is burdened with blessed and burdened with 3 superstars and with other stars, diba? And sabi niya, you know what? When we're on the court, we have an agreement. We're a regular basketball team. And the term he put to me that I'll never forget, that helped me visualize how to manage it is, sabi niya, we compartmentalize our life. And imagine niyo yung vitamin container ng mga lolo at lola na mayroong Monday to Friday na may AM, PM, ganon. Yun yung naging visual ko kagad na mayroong talagang hard stop. May hiwalay yung compartment. So for them, sabi niya, we're a basketball team. Later on, when they get out of the court, they're an endorser. Later in the night, they're a father or they're a friend, whatever. So he was able to give his team that mindset and that wisdom. And I was like, wow, that's such a powerful analogy to keep in terms of you wanting to keep your sanity if you do so many things. Diba? And you have so many things that you're responsible for and you don't want the other to mesh the other. Parang yung mag-isa tayo ng compartment ng baonan, diba? Yung chicken curry mo at yung rice, ay mo maghalo yung sauce. Buti meron pang hiwa sa gitna, di ba? Mga tipong gano'n. But But you imagine just that analogy of one sauce mixing another, not so good. So with your life, you have issues at work and whatever. If you train yourself to not bring that stress home to your family and your kids, you'll be a better person. You'll be a better father. So things like that. So that simple mindset and Jedi trick of compartmentalizing your life is amazing. And I bet you that's only one. That's only one amazing thing Eric Spoelstra was for that team, and it's proof that he's a great coach because he's still a contender now. Made the
Yeah.
finals last year without
Mhm.
superstars. Diba? Yes,
Mhm.
Jimmy Butler, yeah, but it's just proof that what an amazing human and coach he is, and he's I think he and Greg Popovich are the longest tenured coaches in the NBA now. Diba? Others have moved around and got
Mhm.
fired and whatnot, but
Yeah.
Pat Riley knows he has a future Hall of Famer in his hands, and he's so blessed with their exposure.
Sir Tej, ito, follow-up question. For example, the fate of the universe is on the line and then it can be saved by a basketball game. Sino ang ultimate five mo sa NBA?
Ay, nako, ang hirap naman yan. Talaga may pressure pa. The fate of the universe is on the line. Hindi lang yung top 5 eh. Okay. Okay. Siguro point guard ko. Well, disclaimer first. I'm not a big fan of comparing generations because it's different. You know, one decade to the next decade to the
Yeah.
next. The game was so different. So usually I don't delve into that, but since you asked, I will give you an answer. Pilit eh. Anyway, so I'll go with Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Um, hmm, I guess for power forward, let's go with Dennis Rodman. I'm sure nobody's gonna say that, but I love Dennis Rodman. And for my center, I'll probably go with uh, Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Not the conventional best five of all time, but I'll go with that.
Mhm. But I see the perspective eh. I appreciate the perspective. Ito talaga yung parang magbo-boost talaga ng mga buhay eh. Dennis Rodman. Oo, kailangan natin talaga yun. Bodge, any last
Yes.
message to Sir TJ?
Kay TJ, siguro kailangan pa natin ng mga 2 oras, 3 oras.
Yeah.
Ang dami ng pwede natin pag-usapan. Siguro, gawa
Pwede
tayo ng
mag-part
part 2. Gawa tayo ng part 2
Yun.
or we're looking
Sure.
forward to naman sa podcast mo.
Yeah.
Sama mo naman
Oo.
kami dyan. But anyways,
Yun.
TJ, what we need to know is, what are you doing right now? Anything that you're doing? Can you promote? Do you have the platform here on the Bro Show to invite everyone what you're doing? What is in upcoming para kay Mr. TJ Manotoc, ang model ng Cinderella, sabi ko nga. Anyways, the floor is
Ay, nako.
yours para mag-invite
Salamat.
ka na and invite our listeners and the people globally who's watching
course.
the Bro Show right now.
Salamat. Well, in the first place, to your viewers in Guam, maraming salamat for all your support for ABS-CBN, for TFC. Keep tuning in, keep supporting us. Maraming salamat sa supporters namin. Lalo na nung the toughest, darkest times of the shutdown, and yet the love of the Kapamilya fans all over the world was there. For us, in particular in the news, keep watching, TV Patrol, Balitang America, and follow us on our social medias as well, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. So maraming salamat. We do have something up our sleeve coming soon where we have some tweaks along the way for TFC with news in particular. One of this will be involving you guys. We're gonna have a program that would involve more from our subscribers, our kapamilyas anywhere in the world. So that's coming soon. Like, of course, I can't divulge all the details, but basta yun. We'll be seeing more of you. We'll be getting more from you and having a conversation with you guys very, very soon. So abangan nyo lang yan. On a personal note, follow me on Twitter at TJ Manotoc. On Instagram, you can search TJ Manotoc, but my name is TJMan77. I'm lousy on Facebook, but you can find me there too. TJ Manotoc on Facebook. I'm really a Twitter guy. Yun, and then watch out for the podcast. It's coming soon. Hopefully, when I get my help to help me. Mahirap mag one-man show. But it's gonna be about. I think I've settled on a name. Kasi ang hirap mag-isip ng name. I'm sure you guys also have to go through so many ideas, diba? To figure out
Are
to
you
settle on the
crazy?
Bro Show. Are you crazy?
Are you kidding me?
Pwede. Pero ako, honestly, I think where I am now and the goal of the podcast I want to do, I think I'm gonna call it Be Better. Anything you
Be
can be
better.
better at, be
Be
better.
better.
So it'll open the doors to anybody, whether you're an artist, you're an entrepreneur, you're a dietitian or workout fanatic, whatever it is that you're good at, teach us so we can help others be better.
Oh, we're
So
excited.
that's on the horizon. I've got the concept all in my head. I just need the help to put it together. Found some people already, and I'm promising myself this next few months. Lalarga na yan, yung Be Better podcast. So yun.
Yes, good luck to you, Sir TJ. Dito may team ka
Salamat,
na.
salamat.
Pwede mo kaming kunin. Clappers.
Local.
Mga clappers. Sir
Yung sa
TJ.
Dick and Carmi, yung palakpak sa ibabaw.
Yeah.
Alam niyo yun?
Dick and Carmi.
Alam
Yes.
niyo yun, kasi yung camera nasa likod, so kailangan makita yung audience, nagpapalakpak. So, sa ibabaw ng ulo.
Kailangan over the head yan. Oh. Dick and Carmi. Yes. With Kuya Dick and of course Miss Carmi Martina. Sir TJ, ang dami namin natutunan sa inyo. Seriously, this is sincerely, ang dami namin natutunan. You have shared so much meat. Napaka-meaty ng mga wisdom nyo. Ito, let me just, one last thing, okay? We're just going to take this opportunity. I just want to bring back the TJ Manotoc coach. Kasi you have mentioned na professional teams, when you were coaching school teams, ini-invite ka na ng mga professional teams to give motivational speeches dun sa mga teams nila. Can we just ask one motivational speech para sa buong sambayan ng Pilipino? Lalo na ngayon na nasa gitna tayo ng pandemya. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. TJ Manotoc.
Next. Well, I guess what I can say, and this could apply to anybody going through anything. No? I mean, lahat tayo may hamon every day of our lives, for all our families. Nobody lives a perfect life. Nobody's perfectly happy. But I guess the secret to finding that happiness, for those who are in it, is just to be grateful. And I say this from my heart, and it's also scientifically proven. If you look it up, how gratitude is the key ingredient now for happiness and success and productivity. And if you're able to, start a practice, just every day, get a notebook, a journal, write down 3 things you're grateful for, however mundane it might be. I'm grateful for my, amazing cup of coffee. I'm grateful for the amazing embrace of my family. I'm grateful for the sunshine I see today. And watch yourself feel the jolt of joy and happiness. And it's when you're able to find that level of gratitude that you'll have this invincibility of whatever comes your way. Na you'll know what matters most to your life, and you're thankful it's there. Diba? So kung naman yung mga hamon nyo, mga challenges nyo, any dreams you have in your life, start with gratitude. When you're centered with that and you take the steps towards what you want to achieve, you'll get there. So thank you guys for this platform, this opportunity to share. I love chatting with you guys. Love seeing my brother Bojo again. It's been the longest time I've seen that wonderful beard. Sarap purutin. But salamat. I'm grateful for this moment. Salamat. Thank you guys. Salamat.
We are so grateful to, and of course, Mega Mixers Bro says, be grateful and you will be better. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Sir
sir.
DJ. Model, coach, newscaster, sports analyst, editor, journalist. He is the chief, he is the man, he is the ultimate bro, Mr. TJ Manotoc. Sir, once again, thank you so much. And to our bros, Professor,
Salamat.
maraming salamat. Mr. Bojo Molina, Tito Boj, maraming salamat. And to our bros and sis, thank you so much for always listening to The Bro Show. This has been your DJ Doods. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. And we are always reminding you to work hard, to be kind, to pray harder. Amazing things from God will definitely happen. Please enjoy your weekend and God bless everyone.